At the New School, we believe creativity isn't a concept, it's a calling. It's what drives you out into the world to make the things that make a difference. At our schools, we teach creative problem solving by dissolving walls between academic disciplines so you can rigorously rethink everything. Together, we draw inspiration from human insight. We purposefully collaborate, try things over and over, and become invaluable to a world that doesn't exist yet. It's why our university is filled with journalists designing new media, playwrights creating tools for social good, designers collaborating with ethnographers and anthropologists, economists examining human interactions, musicians and media artists composing with light and space. Creativity, in the right hands, changes everything. Because it's not what you know, it's what you create with what you know. Make the future catch up to you. We do. The New School in New York City.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the New School. On behalf of all of our colleagues here at the university, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2016 Fall Undergraduate Open House for Parsons School of Design. Thanks. My name is Craig Tiede.
And I'm Ashley Bruni. We'll be your hosts today, and we couldn't be more pleased to have you in the audience with us.
The function of art is to do more than tell it like it is. It is to imagine what is possible. So said former scholar in residence here at the New School, Bell Hooks. And we're here to help you imagine for yourselves what could be possible.
So today you're going to meet some of the people who embody the creativity, innovation, and experimentation happening on our campus that enacts positive change in the world. Now, please welcome Joel Towers, Dean of Parsons School of Design, who will give you a view into the unparalleled education that we offer.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Ashley and Craig. You're going to hear a little bit more from both of them in just a few minutes. They will walk you through the really compelling story of this university and Parsons' role within it. I wanted to just have a few minutes to speak with you about some issues that really speak to the heart of what it's like to be at Parsons, because all of you are here because you've thought about going to art school or design school. You've thought about being in a creative business or being a leader, an entrepreneur in art and design and creative industries, and you're making a very personal decision. You have ambition. Maybe you know about Parsons, or you always wanted to go to Parsons since you were much younger, or maybe you came to one of our pre-college academy courses over the course of the years. Maybe you just find your personal voice as an artist or a designer. And I thought it would be valuable, I thought it would be useful to tell you a little bit about why I came here, what it meant for me to come to Parsons, because this question, why Parsons, is really a critical question for what you are all deciding today. And for me, that started with the question that is connected more to a question about where design is today, what it means in the world. And when I came here, which is now 13 years ago, I came here as a faculty member. I, at the time, had started an architecture office a decade before that, and we were running with offices in New York and Berlin. We had projects in Europe and across the United States. It was a very exciting time in our office, and I was also a faculty member in the Graduate School of Architecture at Columbia University, and I was making a decision to come to Parsons. A lot of people, you will meet them today, many of the faculty you meet in art and design continue to be engaged in university life and are also active in practice. It's how you keep a finger on what's going on in the real world and what's going on in the academic sphere. And I came to Parsons because of this question of design, this question of what was happening in the world of art and design that was bigger than any one practice, that was bigger than any one architecture office, certainly, but where were the opportunities? What was changing in design? What position and what opportunities in the world based on the challenges that are going on today or then, and on the particular opportunities of a place like the New School? And a colleague of mine at Columbia gave me it was a printed piece of paper, and it was an announcement offering an open job search for a full-time faculty member to lead out sustainable design. Now, my work has always been as an architect at the intersection of issues of climate change and environment and sustainability in relationship to the built environment. And so this was a very interesting job search that was going on. And I came here in part because I believe very deeply that design at this moment in its history is about so much more than only the aesthetic or the beautiful components of what makes design desirable. It is a practice that enables humans to transform the world around them and to make system-level decisions, to make decisions about materiality and about space and about environment and about community that can make the world a better place, that can really start to make change. Design is increasingly called upon for its capacity to make change in the world at a time when complexity is really what drives the challenges and opportunities of the world today. It's why you hear so much about creativity and innovation. And when I came here to initially interview as part of this very large job search, I was really coming here because Parsons and this university, the new school that we are a part of, was committing to working across disciplinary boundaries, not in one particular space, but to getting people to come together to solve problems. At Columbia, I was doing work with Lamont Doherty and the Earth Institute around environmental work, but it was a very siloed environment. And so for me, it was a big move. It was a personal decision to leave that university and come here, and I can tell you I have never looked back. It was one of the most rewarding decisions I made personally at that time, and for the last 8 years now, I have been the dean of this school, working with an extraordinary faculty in building it into exactly what it is today. And so for me, the answer to why Parsons, which you'll hear about both in my presentation and later from Craig and Ashley, and from meeting with faculty and colleagues this afternoon in each of the programs, is very much embedded in why this particular place is so special. So let me tell you a little bit about it. The way that we've gone about structuring Parsons is very different than most other art and design schools, which are typically organized into departments, a department of fine arts or a department of product design or architecture or fashion and so forth. But rather, we have brought together, and we did this about 8 years ago, we organized Parsons into 5 schools. And the reason that we did that is because art and design practice, as I said before, is increasingly cross-disciplinary. It's been hybridized in important ways. And so what we did by producing these schools, and you see the 5 names there, and these are the undergraduate programs that are associated with each of those schools. We did that because we wanted to get them into a relationship in which each of these programs was working with each other. And then my job is to keep all of these balls, if you will, or circles working together. Each of the schools has a school dean. You'll meet some of them later today. And each of the programs has program directors. And you will find yourself working with colleagues from each of those different programs when you are in those schools. You see that the first year, where most of you would enter, is listed under Art and Design History and Theory. That's because that school works across all 5 of them. And the first year is a really comprehensive experience for first-year students in all of our programs, in art and design and strategic design and management. It's a place where also the students who are in the Bachelor's of Arts and the Bachelor of Fine Arts, our dual degree with Lang College, BAFA as we call it, are also located. And so the first year, you're really having this wonderful intertwined experience, and then you move into the degree programs in the second year. In the next slide, what you'll see is that we are also a school that has a very comprehensive set of graduate programs. And I mention this to you because the relationship between the research and practice and the transformation of the fields of art and design and in business and strategy require you to have deep research going on, field transformative kind of work, and the graduate programs really provide this environment that many of our undergraduate students take advantage of as well. And so you see a very rich set of programs that are related to each other within each of the schools, and then the interesting stuff happens across those. The The thing that differentiates Parsons, however, from really, I think, any other art and design school in the United States is precisely, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that we are in this university, in the new school. Most other comprehensive art and design schools, and I'm sure you will visit many of them in your journey to try to determine where you want to apply and where you want to go. Most other comprehensive art and design schools are standalone. What we are at Parsons, embedded within the university, allows us to be collaborating in a very deep way with the humanities and the liberal arts through Lang College, with the social sciences through the graduate faculty, with performance and in all of the different schools of the College of Performing Arts in Mannes College, which is why the stage looks like this today, because they've got some work going on here afterwards, but also with jazz and drama. What makes this place so rich is that when we do those collaborations, it's happening with faculty who are dedicated to those areas. And the minors that you see here are minors that students at the undergraduate level at Parsons can take from across the entire university, as well as Lang students can take, or students in the School of Public Engagement can take, or College of Performing Arts back at Parsons. So this is just a list of what's possible for you, so that if you are choosing to get a degree at Parsons, you may also decide that you want to get a minor in economics, or you might want to spend 4 years focusing on a foreign language, or any of the other opportunities that exist for you in this minor structure, or you might decide to do a minor in another area of Parsons. That's also possible. And so what we're able to offer, and what I think differentiates us, is that at a time when art and design is being asked to really think deeply about the problems of the world, to become problem solvers, world changers, it requires the social knowledge, the deep historical knowledge, and the design knowledge to make change. And that's what I think, for me, brought me to this school and has really been an incredibly enriching experience. Our work here is led by a faculty that is unparalleled in my experience. What you will find here is a full-time faculty of almost 180 members, which is a very deep and rich group of full-time faculty who are here dedicated to the curricular experience of all of our students. And they are joined by approximately 1,200 adjunct faculty drawn from the leading art and design and business communities of New York City. And so this balance between people who are practicing in the field, who are coming to teach a few courses in any given year, with a full-time faculty who can look at the arc of a student's experience over those 4 years, has enabled us to do what I don't think any other school has done, which is to completely rethink the undergraduate art and design school curriculum for the 21st century. Most design schools still follow a model that was developed by the Bauhaus in the early 20th century, when art and design education was really focused on a level of industrialization and the rise of mass consumer culture that produced a particular kind of curriculum. The 21st century has a different set of opportunities and a different set of challenges. It's issues of urbanization, of health, of aging, of climate, of environment, of massive shifts in communication across space and time. All of these things transform how you need to become an artist and designer, and this faculty does that work, and we have rethought this education really for the 21st century. It's been a fantastic project of the last decade, and we are really in the midst of what I think is a renaissance of art and design education here at Parsons. So we have this great faculty, we have this extraordinary curriculum, and the third leg of that stool, of that three-legged stool, is the facilities. You're sitting in one of our beautiful auditoriums, and clearly there are many events that take place here. But the facilities for making in particular, for the act of making, and as an artist designer, or as a business innovator, are connected to this translation in the digital and the physical realm of making stuff, of finding solutions. The facilities at Parsons around a range of different making centers are pretty extraordinary. There are about 80,000, 75,000 square feet of very high-end facilities ranging from the top-end laser or multi-axis metal milling machines and CNC and all the things that you need to have, whether you're going into fashion or product or industrial or any of our areas. But most recently, and this is the thing that I'm particularly pleased about, is something that we refer to as our Making Center. So the pictures that you're seeing behind you now are from the distributed facilities across the university. The next image is from, and I think some of you will go across and see it shortly, is from our new Making Center, something that we just opened this fall. And the idea here is that you would have at the center of all of these making facilities across the university a very significant 27,000 square foot facility that brings together and hybridizes all the practices of making, from traditional materials to new materials, and from traditional forms of assembly and manufacture and materiality to 3D printing and everything beyond. And you find that in this facility. And what is exciting to me about this is that it allows a student who, say, is interested in working in textiles to be working on our new jacquard loom, or in about a month we'll be receiving 2 new Shima 3D knitting machines, that you can be working in that environment and decide you need to 3D print something for that product, or you need to go over to the wood or the metal shop in that space and be able to work with a different material for what you're working on, or you're a business student who happens to be gathered in the Making Center around the work tables, and all of this space is open to students. It's not classroom space, it's open workspace. And you might find yourself in a conversation with someone saying, hey, is that a new idea? Why are you making that? How are you making that? Is this a new business? And then ideas among students develop into innovation. And so the Making Center is really about making community in the process of all of these different components. It really transformed the experience of Parsons, I have to say, in 13 years. We built up this faculty, we have designed this curriculum, and now we have the facilities to really let it fly. So it's a very exciting moment. But we don't constrain ourselves only to what we do here on campus. Parsons is very committed to the university as being understood as the whole city. And we do many courses, and we will engage you as what we call a co-curricular activity in the city. What we refer to beyond the classroom. What you're seeing here is a lecture at the United Nations in the Trusteeship Council Chamber. This is part of a class called Sustainable Systems that all of our first-year students take. And in fact, we'll be at the UN in about 2 weeks on November 3rd. As the host, each year we are hosted by the Danish consulate, and the ambassador gives a talk there, and we bring some other people in to talk about issues of climate change in relationship to design, and you also experience one of the most extraordinary rooms in the United Nations. And it's classes like this and others that bring you into the city as a student. We also try to use the city as a laboratory. Just outside of this building, it's not there anymore because it's seasonal during the summer, something called Street Seats. This is a project we do at the Department of Transportation, taking over parking spaces and turning them into usable community-based, in this case, a cafe that was constantly occupied during the summer months, and there'll be another one going up there next year. And these are designed by students, assembled by students. It's part of a very large commitment that we have to doing work in the city, physically transforming it. We have a project that we call the Design Workshop in our architecture program that has been doing this with public parks for the last 5 years at a much larger scale. We also don't get stuck only in New York. This is down in Washington. A couple of years ago, when the First Lady was running a program called Reach Higher, she called us and asked us if we would come and participate. It's a program focused on high school students and in getting them to commit to completing their high school degrees and going on to college. We have a high school pre-college program here, and so we were participating in that degree. But they asked us if we would do something else, which was to redesign the East Room of the White House. They gave us a couple of weeks and no budget, which was interesting. And of course, we said yes. but it was really quite extraordinary to work both under that time pressure, a group of students, a couple of our faculty, who then took on this task and not only designed this incredible screen that you see behind the First Lady, that was sewn together from over 2,000 individually folded pieces of paper, but we redid the entire East Room of the White House using books that had been donated to the school that were being taken out of commission, and so we turned that paper into the basic material that we used to redesign the entire East Room. We also designed and built the lectern that the First Lady is speaking at. It has in it a map of Illinois because we thought that would be relevant to her upbringing. And as you see in the bottom panel, the designers who were invited to participate in this event are almost exclusively Parsons alumni. In fact, when you look down there and you see Jenna and Jason and Tracy on the right-hand side and Prabal on the left, these are all Parsons alums, and then DVF in the middle, who just got an honorary degree, a doctorate from New School last year. So they're all Parsons at this point. And it's not only those that are already well-known names. Parsons was very well represented in this last year, Forbes 30 Under 30, with 8 of our students receiving that recognition in categories both of design and social change. In fact, a couple of them, Sophia and Lucy in the bottom row, were here just last week for our alumni event that had about 600 people come back. And it's really, I'll mention to you, you should take a look when you get a chance next door over in the Sheila Johnson Design Center. There's a really fantastic alumni show up now of work. So why Parsons, where we started? I, as I said, have been here 13 years. I believe deeply that the role design can and should play in the world has expanded to the point at which everybody talks about innovation. Everyone talks about creativity. There are an enormous set of challenges before us that require the creativity and innovation of designers to engage them. We won't solve them alone. It's in partnership and collaboration. But I think there's never been a more important time for design. I think there's never been more opportunity for artists and designers and creative business leaders to make positive change in the world. And I believe deeply that the place that you can do that best is at Parsons. That's what we've built here. And we've done so in a way that really expands that notion, that draws in the humanities and the liberal arts and the social sciences from across this university and makes them real and relevant to design students and makes design real and relevant to the students in those other areas, which is why this place is so unique. So I love being here. I've never looked back from my decision to come here. I hope you will make a similar one. I'd be happy to talk with any of you about it afterwards, but I think a little tour of the rest of what goes on at the New School from Craig and Ashley is in order now. So welcome, everybody.
So thank you very much, Joel, for giving us that fascinating look at what Parsons itself has to offer its students. But now we want to talk a little bit about something he mentioned, which is the integrated, comprehensive nature of the university of which Parsons is a part. So we're going to share a little bit now about the entire university-wide experience at the New School.
This university was founded in New York City nearly a century ago by visionary dissidents who were challenging the status quo.
Parsons itself actually began as an independent art and design school in 1896 within Midtown here in New York City. It was founded by American Impressionist William Merritt Chase, who was at the time very interested in an education founded in individualistic expression. Later, under the leadership of Frank Alva Parsons, the school actually created groundbreaking programs that linked art and design with industry.
20 years later, something similar was happening downtown. In 1919, our university opened as the New School for Social Research. It was a new kind of academic institution where faculty and students would be free to address, openly and honestly, problems that were facing the 20th century. As an institution pushing boundaries, we earned a reputation for being innovative and experimental. That reputation captured the attention of educators worldwide, and in 1970, Parsons School of Design became a part of the new school.
So part of our strength is that we come from different disciplines, but share a similar philosophy and drive. And these visionaries founded our schools to improve society through active questioning, debate, discussion, and creation.
Now together, we're a force to be reckoned with.
Today, we're still very much redefining education. The new school is the only major university with a world-class design school, Parsons, at its core, integrated with a progressive liberal arts college, prestigious graduate schools, and a renowned performing arts college.
We infuse design thinking throughout the entire educational experience. And as Joel mentioned, we encourage collaboration between all of our fields of study. This unique approach to education allows us to study issues of our time from a fresh angle that leads to innovative solutions. So you may be asking, what kind of student is right for a place this extraordinary?
Those who aren't afraid of new thinking and new ideas, those who are intellectually curious and tenacious when it comes to their pursuits, those who want to dig deep and understand substantial academic scholarship, those who want to harness their creativity, those who want to make the world a better place, and of course, those who want to reinvent what's out there in this dynamic age very much defined by innovation.
So the new school is ideal for courageous students who are willing to be a force of new.
Here are some of the footsteps in whose feet you would be walking. Joel mentioned and pointed out a number of the famous alumni in the slides that he shared, but these include Donna Karan, Victoria Hagan, Ryan McGinley, Mark Jacobs, Jasper Johns, Marlon Brando, Harry Belafonte, Jack Kerouac, and countless others.
And our new schoolers have been taught by some of the finest minds of the 20th century, including composer and theorist John Cage, dancer and choreographer Martha Graham, and the legendary anthropologist Margaret Mead.
The new school has evolved continuously throughout the years in response to changes in the world, and today our students actively work to reinvent what is out there.
Take a look.
The new school prides itself on its innovative approach to education. Over the last few weeks, I investigated what that approach actually is. I met with a variety of students working on amazing and inspiring projects in different fields. The common thread I found in everything I saw here was creativity and the freedom to draw from different disciplines, creating this environment of independence and entrepreneurship.
The idea is not to design what's been designed before. The idea is to work towards an original form.
I like to experiment with whatever is available and try to create something that is not available.
Because we have the workshop format, it's a very safe space. You know, we're all reading each other's writing, so everyone's giving a part of themselves.
The new school isn't about fitting in, it's about making your own space.
Finding something that doesn't already exist is very hard.
It was very liberating to kind of create our own story.
The overarching focus of my studies was sustainability and clothing production.
The goal is to come up with a curriculum that's tailored to young Black girls to introduce environmental justice or environmentalism in an accessible way.
In general, we're interested in studying is how does technology extend narrative?
Over my head. I want to write about Black fairy tales, but not ones that already exist.
You see something very magical when artists and designers and scientists come together.
It was an incredible collaboration between majors, and there's been a lot of mentoring, and a few of my professors have been incredibly influential.
Being in the classroom is good because I get feedback from design professionals. That's amazing.
It does create a certain support system.
There are ways that people who have a stronger ecological background are starting to think about design, and there are some ways that people who have a design background are thinking about ecology.
The resources that I got from the school really helped a tremendous deal. There's a lot of creative entrepreneurship that's expected of students.
We're given the tools here to create the opportunities for ourselves.
There's a direct connection between what's happening here and then what's happening in the real world.
Our project is going to lead to more questions than answers. And that's what we see is the way to create long-term sustainable change.
I think the new school is the perfect place to get your hands dirty, get your feet wet.
As you just saw, the new school's unique approach to education is true to our legacy of innovation. Career trajectories are no longer cookie cutter, so education really shouldn't be either.
Our world increasingly puts premium on innovative ideas, so it's important that all of us understand how to solve problems within novel contexts. Ours isn't an isolated studio, conservatory, or liberal arts environment. The new school houses 5 renowned colleges and schools. Today, obviously, we're concentrating with you on Parsons School of Design, but though Parsons is one of, and the largest, in fact, of our undergraduate schools, as a Parsons undergraduate, you have, as Joel indicated, the ability to take courses across any of our schools, including Eugene Lang College of Liberal Arts and the College of Performing Arts, where all of our curriculum are steeped in design philosophy with a strong liberal arts grounding. Students interested in pursuing 2 degrees simultaneously can also take advantage of our dual degree program, which combines a liberal arts degree program from Eugene Lang College with a fine arts degree from either Parsons or our School of Jazz. Eugene Lang College is a college of liberal arts, very rigorous, extremely relevant, and an urban liberal arts college housed right here in Greenwich Village. It's a non-traditional seminar-based school where students can select from areas of study or self-design a curriculum based on their own personal needs and academic interests. The College of Performing Arts actually houses 3 schools that collaborate through various programs and activities and events: the School of Drama, the School of Jazz, and Mannes School of Music. Today, as a collective, they really transcend the boundaries of a typical conservatory education, with students who use their artistry to alter the way music and drama can positively impact the world.
Having such diverse academic offerings in the same space often leads to surprising connections and experiences. Today, for instance, we have internationally renowned artist Joanne Filletta rehearsing with the Mannes Orchestra for their performance at Lincoln Center next week, explaining all the instruments on stage. So throughout our many schools, we pride ourselves for hosting some of the most interesting courses in higher education. You can visit us online to see what's currently offered so that you can imagine the kind of course schedule you might build. And on top of our undergraduate offerings, the new school hosts some of the nation's most distinguished graduate programs in art and design, as Joel mentioned, the performing arts, media and communications, creative writing, humanities and the social sciences, professional management, public policy, and international affairs. And then in addition to study on either our New York City or our Paris campus, we have typical study abroad opportunities and then many service-oriented global projects to be explored through our exciting international research projects, fellowships, and programs. Our students partner with local organizations to employ their passions in solving real-world problems as part of their coursework. And we connect students with internships for academic credit in almost every field. Last year, new school students brought their convention-challenging creativity to over 900 different companies through thousands of internships throughout the city.
And in conjunction with opportunities to intern and partner with diverse organizations, you should know that if you join us here on campus, you're going to become part of a diverse community here as well. Within our student body, all 50 US states are represented on campus, as well as 118 foreign countries. In fact, the new school has probably amongst the most international students of any school in the United States, with about 1/3 of our students coming to us from outside of the nation.
The new school also hosts more than 1,300 public programs on campus annually, whereas a Parsons student, you can hear from Nobel laureates, Oscar winners, and political leaders. This is different from other art and design schools because you have access to luminaries outside your own field to enrich the full experience. To accommodate these incredible people who call our campus home, our state-of-the-art facilities are growing every day. Here are just some of our creative resources and newest additions. We offer model, fabrication, and print shops across our many state-of-the-art making centers, including 3D prototyping and imaging labs. 4,000 square footage of exhibition space and performance spaces, as well as computer labs with more than 600 workstations and comprehensive libraries that support the new school's interdisciplinary approach to education and offer an exciting place to start your research. The new school is also actively dedicated towards increasing our sustainability across campus.
Some say that New York City is where every creative person ought to call home at some point in their lives. New York is very much a globally recognized cultural center, provides a living experience like no other, with inspiration found on every street corner and rooftop. From informal clubs to student unions, art shows to film festivals, there are hundreds of opportunities for you to become involved in the classroom and off campus. Organizations here on campus include things like the Student Film Collective, the Association for International Development, Students for Social Justice, Students of the African Diaspora, and many, many more. The new school has 5 residence halls on campus as well, all within walking distance of our central academic quad, allowing the opportunity for students to live with students across all of the schools who study here at the university. And our residence life team offers support at every level, from helping to navigate the process of moving to New York to ensuring the safety, well-being, and development of all of our students. In fact, the entire university is dedicated to supportive student services that lead to your success. Our advising department works with you to help you explore opportunities, make informed decisions, and create an academic plan to prepare you for your future career. You'll have access to help with resumes, interviewing skills, and placements, annual career fairs with hundreds of local and global employers ready to develop and review your work, and community access to a digital database of top employers actively seeking new hires.
Our alumni then go on to extraordinary careers across the globe and make an impact on their communities. Because of our unique recipe for education, our students are becoming entrepreneurial thought leaders in their field and are creating and defining budding industries that are only just now beginning to emerge. The new school provides access to a lifelong network of talented and innovative minds. Faculty, alumni, advisors, and fellow students are all actively engaged in their respective fields and can help link you to opportunities in the city and beyond. From our inception, we have been an innovative, experimental institution of higher education focused on designing solutions for the future.
Here, you're going to find a vibrant energy that will inspire your passion and camaraderie with both like-minded and diverse communities, and a memorable experience like no other.
We're looking for students with that extra dose of fearless creativity, who want to shake up old ideas and be on the cutting edge of new ones.
We are the best fit for the kinds of students who are ready to unlock their own innate creative and intellectual potentials and be a force of new thinking, new technology, new design, and new vision.
These 4 years of college will change you so that you can go out and change the world.
So are you beginning to imagine the possibilities for yourselves? I imagine you're starting to wonder, how do you get into a place that's as great as this? So here to review the academic programs and the application requirements more in detail, help me welcome Taryn Wolf.
Good afternoon. Okay. Thanks, Craig and Ashley and Joel. It's always inspiring continuing to hear all about our amazing programs, and just sitting here being part of the new school, I continue to feel inspired every time I see alumni and students making things, and of course, Joel talking about the many amazing faculty and just activity happening within Parsons and the new school. So I'm here to talk to you. I'm the Senior Director of Admission here at the new school, and I'm going to talk about applying to Parsons and how to prepare your portfolio and all of that fun housekeeping stuff. So most of our programs are BFA degrees, and we do have one degree called the Bachelor of Business Administration, and that is our degree in Strategic Design and Management. But aside from that, all of our other majors do require a portfolio, all of our BFAs. And within these programs, what Craig will tell you at the end of the presentation today is that you'll have the experience to go through the Making Center this afternoon and meet faculty and program chairs and students from these various programs and learn about them. So there's this exploratory section of the day. And of course, you can always read more about these majors and programs of study online. But just to touch upon a few of them, the BFA in Design and Technology is a 2-track which touches upon game design and creative technologies. We have the Integrated Design BFA that combines various kinds of design and entrepreneurship. And it's kind of like a combined major, but for surface and display design as well. Our strategic design and management program, as I mentioned, combines business, entrepreneurship, strategy, and design. And our media, art, and technology program is offered only in Paris, so we'll talk a little bit about that program as well. And this is a mix of communication design, fine art, and creative coding. So, after you decide what major you want to apply to, you would put this on your application. We do have an undecided option as well, because all of our students come into a first-year curriculum where you're exploring the different classes and different ways of making things. This is fine. You can apply as an undecided applicant, and then when you get to the end of your first year, you will choose a major at that time. And we also have the Parsons Paris campus, which is our European campus. You can apply as a four-year student to study on this campus, and this is actually the oldest international US program based in Europe. So most of our students apply to study here in New York. The Paris campus is an option for, again, all 4 years, or for study abroad for students as well. The BAFA program that Craig and Ashley mentioned is a great opportunity for students who are interested in doing a dual degree program with a liberal arts college like Lang and Parsons. You can apply to this as a freshman coming in. You do apply, you come in as a Parsons student in your first year if you're admitted. And we'll talk about both Parsons and Lang BAFA program later this afternoon. We're going to have another meeting at 2 o'clock where our counselors talk more in depth about these programs. So the Common Application is where you'll find us. We'd like for you to apply to the major of interest. Again, you can apply undecided if you're not 100% sure. But the Common App is pretty straightforward for those of you who are already looking into the process of applying to schools. You'll find us on there as the new school. We also require typical things all the things you see here are required to apply to the new school in general, and we'll touch upon the portfolio requirements as well. But under the new school, under the Common App, you just find the new school, put it under your colleges, and then from there, you'll select Parsons, New York campus, Paris campus, or the BAFA program. So let's talk about what you'll add to your application to make us learn more about you. While filling out the new school specific questions of the Common App, you'll be prompted to complete a writing sample. This is not the Common App essay, so you aren't to submit that. We don't require that. But the writing supplement asks you to tell us about why you're interested in Parsons, why you're interested in the new school, specifically have fun with this part, show us your personality while diving into the aspects of the new school that appeal to you. There's really no right or wrong way to answer our essay. For the transcripts, if you're applying as a first-time freshman, you just submit your official high school transcripts. Students who've attended multiple high schools will submit only the graduating school's high school transcript as long as courses taken at the previous school are reflected on that transcript. When reviewing your transcripts, we're really interested in seeing how you've challenged yourself within the curriculum that's offered at your school. We'd also, mid-year grades are encouraged unless you're applying early action, which I'll get to in just a moment. If you've taken college level courses while you're a high school student, you can submit these transcripts and we'll look at them for the possibility of credit. However, you are considered a freshman if you did that concurrently along with your high school career. So keep that in mind. If there are any transfer students here, you are required to submit your college transcripts from every individual school that you've attended. And if you've completed more than 24 or more college credits at the time of application, you don't need to submit a high school transcript. You'll just submit your college transcripts. This afternoon, you can come to, again, our session. We can talk more specifically about questions. If you are a transfer student, we can also advise you during the week, during our regular hours as well, if you want to come with your transcripts. To assist us in conducting a holistic review of your application, we really want to pay special attention to the activities section of the Common App. and the letters of recommendation that you apply. It's important for us to get a sense of really who you are outside of maybe sports or just traditional extracurricular activities that might be choices on the Common App. We know that in reality you're engaged in many, many more things outside of the school and the classroom. You may be a student athlete, you may be a member of an orchestra, you may have a part-time job, you may write a blog, run a zine club, have significant family responsibilities. All of these things are really of value to us because they show us what kind of student and community member you will be here at Parsons. So definitely include all of that. In addition to these things, we want to get a sense of you through the eyes of others. So your letters of recommendation are an important part of the process as well. We do require one from your counselor as well as one from a teacher. So with the new school, we understand that test scores do not necessarily define a student. To this end, we don't require standardized testing, although we definitely respect the process of preparing for these tests and taking them, so you can submit your SAT or ACT scores if you choose to do that, if you took them. If you wish to receive AP credit or IB or A-level coursework transferred over as elective credits, we will look at those transcripts as well, those test scores as well. You can send those to us after you make your application. I should also note that students who are not native English speakers will submit a TOEFL or an IELTS score if they do or don't meet certain criteria, and we'll also touch upon that this afternoon. Okay, now the fun part. The application is standard, as I said, across the school, but applying to Parsons really brings another super exciting dimension into you as a student. So talking about how you prepare your portfolio, I'm just gonna go through the requirements, but then I'll also be sharing with you some examples of student work who applied to Parsons, and you'll get to see examples of what that looks like. So the Parsons Challenge is a piece of our application that is specific to us, and it's required for all students applying to the bachelor's program at Parsons. It asks you to create a new visual work inspired from the theme of a piece within the portfolio that you've already submitted. Alternatively, if you're applying to the BBA program, you can use an advertisement or as invention or something to the like to be your inspirational source. Alternatively, we want to really be able to see the way that you support your process by writing and how your ideas developed into this piece and the way that you've rethought this iteration. All of the work that you're going to do is submitted via SlideRoom. It's an online platform that's connected to Common App, and many art and design schools use this. This shouldn't be a new thing to you if you're already starting to explore application processes. But the Parsons Challenge, what it does really is it helps the admission committee understand how you think, how you develop your ideas, how you create a theme, and visually communicate that idea or theme. And it also gives you the opportunity to defend your work in writing and articulate your ideas and challenge yourself. I'm going to guarantee pretty much that if you're feeling a little bit anxious about this part of it as I speak, it'll be a profound experience for you to really challenge those ideas, look at your own work differently, and reconsider and expand it. So your portfolio is required for all Bachelor of Fine Art programs, and those applying to the BBA in Strategic Design and Management don't need to submit this part of the portfolio. They do need to submit the Parsons Challenge. You might get varying feedback about your portfolio from different schools that you're looking at, and this should tell you something. It's a great way to get a sense of what schools might be a good fit for you, and maybe ones that are asking you for things that you're really not so interested in doing. So as you go to portfolio days and reviews, just keep that in the back of your mind. Show really an expansive group of the pieces you've made, because different schools will recommend that you include certain things and maybe omit others. So that process of review and feedback is really, I think, a great benefit to you that as independent design schools and art schools, we offer that specific kind of experience and opportunity for you. Okay, so we'll look at some examples of work. We do require you to submit 8 to 12 pieces of portfolio work, and really just be yourself within that. Ultimately, The work can be in any medium you want. It can be drawing, painting, sculpture, video, design, installation, performance. It's really up to you to showcase how you submit this work and how you organize each slide as well. Remember that the portfolio should be a reflection of you as an artist and designer. So ask yourself to try new processes, to have fun, and really to show your own voice. The portfolio is about you, first and foremost. So your work doesn't need to be major specific at all. I mean, this is a student who took a nice approach to experimenting with wearable materials and by creating a coat out of paper. They also turned their sketch into a fun illustration that incorporated typography. Your portfolio can include 2D work, as I said, and 3D work as well. Take advantage of the opportunity to include work that shows the way that you experiment and think outside of the box, not just work that you did in a classroom. The piece here, I love that the student was interested in working with installation or video performance. The student is rethinking the way that you use a desk. And I love the way that she also photographed it. So she showed it from different angles. She showed different ways of viewing that work if you were right in front of it. You can also show how you make within the portfolio. This student included an original block that they made to do this printmaking project, as well as a group of textiles that ultimately used that print within it. So just that process-oriented work as well, showing the pieces that you use to make the final product. If you're working in 2D work, drawing and painting, you'll probably hear from many other schools as you go to portfolio days and talk with admission counselors that they might talk to you about observational work and drawing from life, and those are important processes to get your grounding in your work, but really we're interested in seeing what you do from there. How do you jump off from that point and make work that's interesting to you, make work that shows your sensibilities? I often, through that kind of work, am able to see different things coming through. Like this student, I think, shows a great design sensibility, even though they're working in collage and painting. So thinking about that and how do you do something more interesting with your skills once you have honed them. If you're interested in narrative work and illustration, you can really put your personality into these pieces, talk about how you want to be a storyteller in a visual way. I also want to go through, the next few pieces. What these show is really this cohesive. These slides show multiple pieces from different students. So these pieces show, I think, a cohesive quality of work. It shows an artistic sensibility and style that moves through the work, and that's also a great way to show a strong portfolio. Going back to the idea of drawing and painting and working from life, this student is just doing much more interesting things with that than just drawing what he sees in front of him, but really bringing in that narrative quality, showing the environments that he's putting himself in. And I like how the style carries through these pieces. Same here. If you're working on an AP concentration, that's another great way to put together a body of work that has a common thread moving through it. With 8 to 12 examples of work that you submit for Parsons, I think that's a great number because it really does allow you to edit down to what you think is your strongest work rather than having to fill it with other things. I love this piece because it shows examples of collage and how a student is really exploring typography and bringing in their interest in text. This could be a great candidate for a design major, just seeing how they're experimenting with image making in this way. Here's some photography work, also paired with design. You certainly can see here where the student is taking a photograph and then making it into a graphic design piece. Here we have somebody who's actually seems to have taken more of a design training. They really understand image making and text here. So if you have taken, for instance, a pre-college program or college level courses, or if you're completely self-taught, really just submit that work that shows that strength in the area that you want to submit, that you want to apply to. Here is some graphic design work that's done a little bit more with handwork, which is fine as well. And this is a great way to showcase how to photograph a book. So this is all one image, and the student has photographed many different layouts of the book together. This is also, I've seen when students make videos where they're kind of going through the pages of a book, that's a nice way to show that kind of design as well. If you're interested in fashion, you will submit your portfolio that may have fashion drawings or constructed garments in them. We really like to see, you don't need to have had experience sewing or making things like dresses or garments necessarily. We really love to see how you approach things sculpturally, how you experiment with materials, and this is a great example of a student experimenting with making a dress form out of bread. I love just the scope of this and the way that it was photographed from every angle. Here's some architectural models. Sculptural work, again, is a great thing to include, and showing different angles and perspectives of that work. And I love this example because it shows a student putting together different ideas of installation, performance, their ideas around text, and their interest in communication, and how that comes into a piece like this. And it also has a performative element with her, right there in that. So ideally, we just want you to make work that you care about, documented in ways that convey what a viewer would experience if they were looking at it, details, angles, perspectives, all of these kinds of things. Your work also doesn't need to be 100% finished work. You can have some process, some notes, sketchbook type ways of thinking through your ideas next to the finished product or what you're planning to create out of that. You can also submit sketchbook work. This is one of my favorite things about sketchbook work, is just seeing how your ideas develop, kind of these quiet moments that you might have as you create your own work. That isn't necessarily for an audience, but when you share that, it's a little bit more of an insight into, how you process things visually. Here's another example of that. So as artists and designers and visual thinkers in general, I just think we're really lucky to have this whole other outlet to express our thoughts and ideally keep challenging ourselves. So be thoughtful, be yourself in your portfolio, and ideally show us the work that looks like you loved making it. And we also can offer you portfolio advisement, as I mentioned, here on our campus every weekday or at a portfolio day that you might attend. So now we'll get to the nitty-gritty, how to apply stuff. So please be aware of our deadlines. I always encourage students to be very organized around this. Keep a spreadsheet of all the places you're applying, the deadlines, and be on time, of course. We offer early action and regular decision to apply for our freshman programs. If you're a transfer student, we'll get to that. But our early action deadline is non-binding, so that's important to know. It's available for first-year students, and you do receive an early notification. That's the benefit of applying early decision in mid-December. We can also, one thing I want to say about the last slide, we can roll you into the regular decision pool if you don't complete your application on time, or if we feel that we want to have mid-year grades from you. So our deadlines are, spring has already passed, but for fall 17, our first year applicants will apply by November 1 for early action, as well as for regular decision, they apply by January 15th. With that notification plan, we will notify you in mid-March. And transfer students would apply by April 1st. With your admission letter, we do automatically consider you for merit scholarship. So it's good to know that you don't have to make a separate application for merit scholarship. All applicants are considered, are eligible for this scholarship award notification. It's really about the quality of your application, your portfolio, and our admission committee does make these decisions. International students are eligible for a merit scholarship while they're not eligible to submit a FAFSA. FAFSA is our need-based aid, and US citizens and permanent residents are eligible for this. Basically, FAFSA determines your financial need and your eligibility for state and federal grants, loans, work study, and that kind of funding based on your family's tax returns. This is the first year of what the federal government is calling prior year. It means the FAFSA is already available as of October 1st, so you can get started with that. And on the FAFSA now, you can use your 2015 taxes, so you can be ready to go. You don't have to wait and file in order to do that. So we encourage you to stay connected in the process of applying to Parsons. We have a hub where you can access all of your updates and see decisions as they're made. Follow us on social media. That's always a really fun part of my feed, is seeing everything that's happening in the new school in Parsons. We do ask that you allow 14 days from the day that you submit credentials to see them in the hub. So if you submit something and you look the next day, don't worry if you're not seeing it. But you can really check the status of everything there, so it's really helpful. We are gonna send you a login for this with the email address that you put on your application. So it's important that you use an email address that you check very frequently, that you're engaged with. Students say all the time, oh, I didn't get that, and it turns out you have like 5 different emails. So keep one, apply to all your schools with it, and really stay on top of it, and be diligent around deadlines, calls to action, and things like that. So I'll leave you with the following, hopefully encouraging words. The application process to college can be kind of overwhelming, which makes sense because it's your life, and there's a lot that you need to figure out before you end up where you're going to be. There'll be moments of excitement, discovery, stress, probably some procrastination, anticipation, surprise, and managing deadlines, managing your inbox, all of the many things we'll be sending you. This will be followed by potentially some travel, some campus tours, a lot of excitement, a lot of just imagining yourself in different places, and potentially a lot of questions. And at the end of this long period of waiting, once you get all your applications in, hopefully hope and excite and just feeling like you're in the right place wherever it is that you land. So in order to help you with that process and through that process, I do want to introduce you to our Parsons team. Our admissions counselors are fantastic. They are the individuals who will be reviewing your application, making decisions. They'll also be able to give you some feedback on your portfolio if you come to see us here on campus. And they'll also be traveling all the way around the country and some internationally to meet students and talk about their work with them. So I'm gonna have them come up and introduce themselves. Come.
Hi, my name's Phil Brown. I'm the Associate Director of Undergraduate Admissions. I'll be around all day. I'm happy to speak with any of you throughout the day, as well as the rest of the team.
Hey, I'm Tom Roberts. I'm an undergraduate admission counselor here at Parsons, and I'll be at the question and answer session later this afternoon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Flynn Linehan. I'm an admission counselor in the undergraduate programs at Parsons, and please come find me if you have questions.
Hi, I'm Sarah Canicchio, Senior Associate Director of Admissions, and we actually have our business cards with us, and we'll try to answer all of your questions, and if we can't, we'll hand these out as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tina Thompson, Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admissions at Parsons, and I will also be around to answer questions.
And I'm Avery Tamshin. I'm an admissions counselor with Parsons undergraduate programs, and I will also be around later to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Taryn, and our fabulous admissions crew. So earlier, we promised to help you imagine what would be possible for you if you choose to study at Parsons. But you don't have to take our word for it, because today we have with us some recent Parsons alum who are very excited to share their story of how the new school helped them to innovate, create, and question. We have Ryan Duffin, freelance photographer and an assistant photo editor at Hearst Suite at Snapchat. Kailu Guan, who's a digital and new technologies women's wear designer at KG Projects, and Noe Paparella, CEO of Luna.
Hello, I'm Ryan. I just graduated here in May, so I'm still very much ripping off the Parsons bandage and learning what that means. I'm from Canada. The first time I came to New York, I was I was 16, and we were on like some weird tour going down to Washington Square Park, and we walked by the campus, and I was like, whoa, that place looks tight. So I took a picture on like my iPhone 3G, and I still have that picture today. So I looked it up, and then the next summer, I knew I was not ready to leave New York or like kiss that part of my life goodbye. So I came and did the Summer Intensive Studies program in photography. That's where you stay on campus for about a month in the summer, and you live on campus, and you can take a college level class. And that program really helped me solidify for myself that I wanted to come to New York. So Parsons ended up being the only school that I applied to, and no regrets. The main thing I wanted to share is the thing that transformed the most while I studied here, and that was my ability to question the status quo, like questioning why. I was always an annoying kid who was like, why? My mom's like, just eat the broccoli, it's what you do. But questioning the way things are and the way things are designed is super central to every single class, every single day you're asked that question. And the same questions you need to ask yourself every day throughout life as well afterwards, beyond once you're no longer in the classroom. So we enter these industries that oftentimes end up being a lot different than what you think they're going to be, or this rosy-eyed vision of what you think your future career looks like. You're often confronted with the reality of it, but that's like a really exciting thing, and it's really fun to kind of take the punches and roll with life's curveballs. So you're forced to navigate these spaces that, and there's a lot of predetermined, pre-designed ways of building your career for you out there, but I think the best ones are the ones that only you can make, or based on the experiences you have. We all have different histories, different Spotify playlists. We all scroll through different Instagram feeds every day, or Snapchat feeds. And those things come to influence the work you make and the goals you set for yourself. So embrace those things and write down things that are interesting, write down things that inspire you, and look at those things every day, because that's how you form like who you become. And it's really exciting to look at like all of my peers right now, and we're all starting to kind of figure out who we are, if that question can ever actually be answered. But we're starting to ask the right questions and find the places in the world that help us answer those questions the most. The other thing that I just wanted to touch on really quickly was how in the class, like I really loved Parsons because it's not that there's no rules, but they really love you to break every single rule that they set for you, except for like institutional rules and like boundaries and laws and stuff. But within the class, just make what you want and make it your way. If you want to like write an essay or make an art project on the lid of a Chipotle box, like that's super cool. If it's conceptually relevant, you're a genius. Like this is my speech for today. It's speech bubbles. So just do whatever, however your brain works is the best way to handle everything. Yeah, just go for it. Take a chance. I really wanted to, in an institution that I wanted to be a part of, I didn't want to be traditional. I wanted to be able to formulate my own experience here. So I majored in photography, but I minored in museum and curatorial studies. So I took a liberal arts kind of angle, and yeah, just be like a mad scientist with all these random classes that you can take. There's so many crazy, weird classes that you're gonna find in the course catalog here. And take classes that are like outside of this sphere that you think you wanna be part of or what you think you're good at, because again, all these things build up to your own individual style and art making process, and that's how you become a force of new and your own individual person. So that's what I have to say about that. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kailu Guan, and I just graduated this year as well. I graduated from the BFA Fashion Design program, and today I'm gonna share my experience with you guys as a student who does not only love fashion, but who is extremely passionate about other fields. And in my case, this is technology. My senior year was a period of time when I got to design things with everything I love and everything I've learned. My thesis collection was a combination of augmented reality technology and fashion. I developed a collection of 6 looks and a company phone app. So to put it simple of how the collection works is that you can use the app and point it to the garments, and you will see the garment's color changes, and you will see animation appears, information overlays, sound, and other effects, which is a way to redefine fashion by creating this 4-dimensional digital storytelling space while breaking the boundary of the traditional tactile fashion medium. When I first had the idea, I had basic knowledge of coding, and I had developed apps because this is always been my passion. But I had absolutely no idea of how to make an augmented reality experience. So as I was struggling, it was Kyle Lee, a professor that I met at the design technology department, who offered me the first guidance on the technology side of the project, who also later became a mentor of the project throughout my senior year. And I also attended many of the workshops that the design and technology department offers, and it's completely open and free, and I learned a lot of the technology side of the project from those experiences as well. And as the project reached a later stage, I realized that I cannot afford the time of coding each line of the project. And this time, I turned my head to the students at the DT departments, and I tried to find collaborations. And I was lucky enough to meet with a few coding experts there, and then along the way, they have contributed a lot. And together we finished the whole project and achieved what it was desired. And besides having access to this multidisciplinary students, collaboration is also another thing that Parsons officially supports, and I personally found very rewarding. Because taking advantage of all the partnership that Parsons has built up, Parsons introduced collab classes with companies like Intel, Panasonic, MasterCard, and so on. I was a participant in the first Intel sponsored class at the last semester of my senior year. And together with students from majors like DT and data visualization and also industrial design, together we explore wearable technology possibilities, and the result was really amazing, and it satisfied our client Intel a lot. So when I first came to Parsons, becoming a successful fashion designer like Alexander McQueen, you name it, is almost the only thing that I was, dreaming about. But my experience here has led me to a different path, a path that I feel like speaks to me more, and to be quite honest, it was a surprise. I feel like we are here and surrounded by a group of very open-minded people and who truly believe in innovation. And together we encourage each other, and we're not, we're shameless to say we are making changes to the world. So I think here, as a student, I found all the resources I need if I want to become a relatively traditional designer, or, in my case, I like to combine things, and I'm sure if you are passionate about that side as well, you can combine everything you want here, no matter it's film, music, performing arts, and etc. Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Noe, and I graduated at Parsons in 2015 with a bachelor's degree in Fine Arts and Illustration. The 4 years that I spent at the New School were some of the most confusing, most paralyzing times I've ever gone through. Those 4 years were also the most exciting, the most colorful years of my life. Kind of like an uncomfortable LSD trip that you never really get out of. I'm kidding, don't do drugs. When you look up online articles about going to art school, the first few links go something like this. Want to be an artist? Here's why you should forget about art school. Is art school really worth it? why aspiring artists should not go to art school, etc., etc. But if you ask me whether or not you should go to art school, my answer is always and always yes. And to the people who wrote these articles and blog posts, the problem probably wasn't the school, it was them, right? So to tell you a little about myself, I'm a big nerd, always have been, always will be. And going to art school was not easy because I just couldn't be a nerd. All of a sudden, there weren't any right answers or proper way of doing something. All of a sudden, the teachers weren't telling me I had the right answers. Because here, so many people are going to disagree with you. Artists are way too argumentative. But these people will make you think real hard. They will push you to do things you never thought you would or could do. And to be honest with you, it took me a little while. But one day, one class, one project, and two beautiful people later, and something changed. I stopped doing homework for the teacher and started seeing the teacher as showing me a skill and a vision to create something that I loved, that I got to pick. An assignment became just a small initial guideline for a way, way bigger idea that I wanted to execute. Like when I was asked to write an essay in my Indian art history class, I designed a deck of playing cards about Indian gods. Or when I was asked to make a dummy for an illustrated children's book, I made a 2 to 3 inches thick interactive book where you could like change the pattern and texture of this cutout cat. It was great. I was having a lot of fun. But art is subjective, and a few people are not going to vibe with you. But if you're passionate and motivated, most of them, they will feel that too. And some of them might even respond to it. When I came to the new school, I was this really shy kid. And now not only am I surrounded by amazing and crazy creative people almost every single day, I own a degree with honors in a school that I still come back to regularly for things like today or to secretly use the tablets in the computer lab. But I've also had the chance to design for companies like TV Land and Moleskine, and to do even more things that I love when I started my own company, Luna. The most valuable thing about this school is not how it looks on your resume, how much equipment you can rent out, how many different computer labs it has, or that they offer great vegan food. It's not even the wide range of premium classes that they offer. It's the fact that every day for 4 or 5 years, you get to be, whether teachers or peers, with some of the best artists in the world. Peace.
So normally at a presentation or at the theater, we tell you to put your mobile devices away. But as you've heard in multiple ways over the past 80 minutes, we're different, so pull them out. The reason why I want you to do this is you all have received multiple emails from me this week inviting you to join our app for today's event. So if you have not yet done so, I encourage you to download Crowd Compass onto your mobile devices and then search for Explore the New School. And you will find our app for today's event. It will list all of the speakers that you've seen already today, including folks who are helping us out throughout the rest of the event, access to build your own schedule. You can post on our activity wall, take photos throughout the day, and I really encourage you to do all of those things. We have a few printed schedules out in the lobby, but let me just quickly review for you what you have available to you through the rest of today. We really approach this very much like an open house. We want you to experience and explore our campus and Parsons programs throughout the rest of the afternoon. So we're not going to tell you exactly where to go. You're going to self-design your experience now, just like you would self-design an experience as a new school student. So the things that are available to you to do, down in the lower level of this building, in what is the event cafe, that's where our musicians were playing earlier this morning. If you've not yet picked up your free swag, your new school bag with all the fun Parsons stuff on the inside, make sure that you do that before you depart campus today. If any of you are interested in taking a residence hall tour, 2 of our residence halls are touring folks. Every 10 minutes, a group will leave that space, so check in with those folks down in the lower level event cafe. We also have the ability for you to take a self-guided campus tour. So we have a couple of our Welcome Center tour guides who will be available in the lobby of this building to help you out if you need any assistance in identifying some of those spaces. On the 5th floor of this building, we have a campus university resource fair where you have the opportunity to interact with some of the alumni that you heard speaking, but also representatives from many of our student services offices on campus. So make sure that you check those folks out as well. And then in the building catty corner to where we are at this moment, 66 Fifth Avenue, in the Sheila Johnson Design Center on the 2nd floor, is where the Making Center that Joel talked about earlier is located, and it's where faculty and students from all of our undergraduate programs will be available up through 3 p.m. to interact with you and tell you a little bit about what their programs are like. As you heard Taryn mentioned earlier during the admission and portfolio portion of this presentation, we will end the Parsons event today at 2 o'clock with an admission Q&A session, where we'll talk a little bit more about the dual degree program, study at Parsons Paris, and answer any remaining questions that you might have that didn't get answered throughout the course of today. That will take place in the Teresa Lang Center, which is on the 2nd floor of our College of Performing Arts building, Arnold Hall. So as you exit the University Center, just keep going straight down 13th Street, and you'll find it immediately on the corner of 13th Street and 6th Avenue at 2 p.m. I just want to say to you, and I hope that you've gotten the sense already through this opening session, that we're very proud of who we are and what we do here. And I want you to get that sense throughout the visit that you have with us today. But I want to caution you not to misconstrue that and think we're the best school for everybody, because we aren't. We are truly the best fit for the kinds of students who love to think theoretically and conceptually about their work, who have a strong commitment to then taking that work out into the real world and utilizing it to make it a better, more just place. And those students who are ready to come to us to have their own innate, creative, and intellectual potentials unlocked. So as you spend time with us today, interacting at your own pace and in ways that best suit your own needs and interests, I really want you to think strategically about the fact that what you're doing is beginning the selection of a very important and significant life experience. So it is much less important that you leave a campus open house like this one having memorized a list of everything each school thinks is great about itself. It is much more important that you leave knowing whether that school does or doesn't offer you the environments and connections that will best help you become both the kinds of professionals and the kinds of people you want to become. As long as 3 o'clock this afternoon rolls around and you have a pretty good sense about us in that regard to you, you will have used your time wisely, and all of my staff will have done their jobs. So enjoy your time. Thank you for joining us today. I will see you around.